I still remember the sound. Metal hitting concrete. A wrench slipping. Then silence. Everyone turned to look at me. The workshop smelled like burnt oil and hot rubber, thick enough to choke on. My hands were shaking, but not because of what just happened. Because I knew what I was about to do. Who did this? Mr. Halden's voice cut through the room like a blade. No one spoke. I looked at Kai. He couldn't even meet my eyes. His face had gone pale, like all the blood had drained out of him. That was enough. I didn't need a confession. I stepped forward. I did it. The words felt heavier than the engine block beside me. A few heads snapped toward me. Someone whispered. Someone else laughed nervously, like it had to be a joke. But it wasn't. Mr. Halden walked closer, slow and steady. You understand what you're saying, Elias? I nodded. I didn't look at Kai again. That was the moment everything changed. Not when the accident happened. Not when the damage was counted. But when I chose silence over truth. What I didn't know was this. Someone else had been watching, and he didn't believe me. Before that day, my life was simple. Not easy, but simple. I worked at Halden's auto shop from sunrise to sunset. The place sat at the edge of town, where the roads turned dusty and quiet. Every morning smelled the same, fuel, rust, and strong coffee brewing in a cracked machine near the office. I fixed engines, cleaned tools, helped customers who barely noticed me, and I never said no. If someone needed help lifting something, I was there. If a job ran late, I stayed. If someone made a mistake, I covered for them. Kai used to joke about it. You're too good for this place, he'd say, tossing a rag over his shoulder. One day, it's gonna cost you. I always laughed it off. Kai and I grew up together. Same street. Same struggles. But we turned out different. He chased shortcuts. I followed rules. Still, he was my best friend. And when things went wrong, I believed loyalty mattered more than being right. There was also the old man. He showed up almost every week. Never in a hurry. Always watching. He'd ask small questions. About engines. About life. Most people ignored him. I didn't. I didn't know it then. But those small conversations were being measured. The first time I really noticed him, he was standing by the far bay. Watching. Not like a customer. Not like someone waiting. Just observing. He wore the same faded coat every time. Dust on the shoulders, like he'd been walking for miles. His hands were rough, but steady. You fix things carefully, he said once, as I tightened a bolt. I shrugged. Just doing my job. He smiled, but it didn't feel casual. It felt thoughtful. Most people rush. You don't. I didn't know what to say to that. After that, he kept coming back. Sometimes he'd ask about parts. Sometimes about my day. Once, he asked why I stayed late to fix a car for someone who couldn't pay. Because they needed it, I said. He nodded slowly. Like that answer meant something bigger than I understood. Kai didn't like him. Guy's weird, he muttered one afternoon. Just stands there like he owns the place. I laughed it off again. But there was one thing that stayed with me. Every time I helped someone, he was there, watching. It started as a normal afternoon. Busy. Loud. Tires screeching outside. Tools clanging inside. Kai was working on a high-end engine, way above the usual jobs we handled. Mr. Halden kept reminding him to be careful. Don't rush it, he said. Kai just nodded, distracted. I could tell something was off. His hands weren't steady. Then it happened. A sharp crack. A wrong move. And suddenly, everything went still. The engine was damaged. Badly. I saw it happen. Kai froze. Don't say anything, he whispered quickly, stepping back. Please. My chest tightened. This wasn't small. This wasn't something you could hide. Mr. Halden came running over. What happened? No one answered. Kai looked at me, and in that look, I saw fear. Real fear. That was the moment I made my choice. And I wish I could say I thought it through. But I didn't. I did it. Even now, I can hear my voice. Too calm. Too certain. Mr. Halden didn't shout right away. He just stared at me. Then he looked at the damage again. You know what this costs? He asked. I nodded. I'll cover it, I said, even though I had no idea how. That's when the shouting started. Not just from him, but from others. Disappointment hit harder than anger. You were the one I trusted, Mr. Halden said. That hurt the most. Kai stayed quiet, didn't defend me, didn't stop me, just watched. And in that silence, something inside me shifted. But it was too late. The decision was already made. What I didn't realize was, this wasn't just about money. It was about to become something much bigger. By the next morning, everyone knew. Word spreads fast in a small town. I walked into the shop and conversation stopped. Eyes followed me, some angry, some confused. Mr. Halden called me into his office. I can't keep you here, he said flatly. I nodded. I understand. You don't, he replied. You broke more than an engine. That sentence stayed with me, because deep down, I knew he was right. I packed my things in silence. Kai didn't come over, didn't say goodbye, just kept working, like nothing had happened. That hurt more than losing the job. But as I stepped outside, something strange caught my eye. The old man, standing across the street, watching me, again. But this time, his expression wasn't calm. It was serious, almost disappointed. I thought he'd come over, say something, anything. But he didn't. He just stood there, then turned and walked away. That was the last time I saw him. For days, maybe weeks. Time blurred together after that. Without work, my routine broke apart. No morning rush. No engines to fix. Just silence. I tried finding other jobs. No one wanted to hire someone who had destroyed expensive equipment. That's how they said it. That's how they saw me now. Kai still didn't reach out. And slowly, doubt crept in. Did I make the right choice? Was loyalty supposed to feel like this? Empty? But the hardest part wasn't losing everything. It was feeling like none of it mattered. Until the letter arrived. It came early in the morning. No return address. No name. Just my address written neatly on the front. Inside, there was a single card. Come alone. Tomorrow. 10 a.m. And an address. That was it. No explanation. No signature. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Or a joke. But something about it felt deliberate. I showed it to no one. I had no one to show it to anyway. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept racing. Who would send this? Why now? And how did they know me? The next morning, I made a decision. I had nothing left to lose. So I went. What I didn't know was that one decision would pull me into something far bigger than a broken engine. The address led me out of town, farther than I'd ever gone before. The roads changed, from cracked pavement to smooth stone, from noise to silence. And then I saw it, a building that didn't belong there, tall, clean, almost too perfect. I hesitated at the gate. This wasn't my world, not even close. But before I could turn back, the gate opened. On its own. That was my first warning. Inside, everything felt controlled, precise. A man in a suit approached me. Elias, he asked. I nodded slowly. Please follow me. His tone wasn't warm, but it wasn't cold either. Just certain. As if I had already agreed to something. As we walked deeper inside, one thought kept repeating in my mind. Who brought me here? And why? They led me into a quiet room. Simple. Clean. No windows. Just a table and 2 chairs. Please sit, the man said. I did. Another person entered. Older. Sharp eyes. Tell us what happened at the workshop, he said. No introduction. No small talk. Just straight to it. I hesitated. Something felt off. This wasn't normal. Why? I asked. He didn't answer directly. Because the truth matters, he said. I almost laughed. If that were true, why was I here? Still, I told the story. Exactly as I had before. I made the mistake. They listened carefully. Too carefully. When I finished, the older man leaned forward slightly. Are you certain? He asked. There was something in his tone. Like he already knew the answer. That's when I realized. This wasn't an interview. It was a test. They asked the same question again. And again. Each time, slightly different. Details. Timelines. Positions. At first, I answered without thinking. But slowly, it became harder. Not because I forgot anything, but because the truth I was telling wasn't real. And they knew it. You're protecting someone, the older man said calmly. I froze. No, I replied. Too quickly. Too sharply. He watched me in silence, then slid a photo across the table. It was from the workshop. The moment of the accident, captured from an angle I didn't even know existed. And in it, you could see everything. Kai, the mistake, the truth. My heart dropped. So they knew. They knew all along. Why lie, he asked. And for the first time, I didn't have an answer ready. I thought they'd expose me right there. Call me out. End it. But they didn't. Instead, the older man leaned back. You chose to take the blame, he said. Why? I swallowed. Because he would have lost everything. And you didn't. That question hit harder than anything else. I stayed silent. He studied me for a moment, then said something I didn't expect. We've been watching you. My stomach tightened. Why? I asked. Because people like you are rare. I didn't understand. Not fully, but I could feel it. This wasn't about punishment. It was about something else. Something bigger. Then he added, there's more at stake than you realize. And just like that, everything shifted again. They finally told me. The old man. The one from the workshop. He wasn't just some passerby. He requested this review, the older man said. My mind went blank. Requested? Why? What is this place? I asked. He paused. Then answered carefully. An institution that evaluates decisions. That didn't make sense. Not yet. But then he said the one thing that changed everything. The man you helped. He's not who you think he is. My chest tightened. What do you mean? The older man met my eyes. He's the one who built this. Everything went silent. The workshop. The conversations. The way he watched me. It all clicked. But not fully. Not yet. Because if that was true, then why did he disappear? And why was I only hearing this now? That was the question that followed me as I left the room. And it didn't come with an answer. Only a warning. The truth hasn't come out yet. They let me leave that building. Just like that. No guards. No threats. No explanation. But I didn't feel free. I felt pulled. Like something had already started. And I was just catching up. The road back felt longer than before. Every step echoed with the same thought. He was watching me. Not just anyone. The old man. The one I thought was just curious. The one I helped without thinking. He built all of this? It didn't make sense. By the time I reached town, everything felt smaller. The workshop. The streets. Even the people. Nothing had changed. But I had. And then I saw it. A notice posted outside Halden's shop. A legal notice. There was going to be a formal hearing. About the damage. About responsibility. About me. My chest tightened. Because if what I saw in that room was real, then this wasn't over. It was just beginning. I found Kai behind the workshop that evening. Same place we used to sit after long days. But this time, it felt different. He didn't smile when he saw me. Didn't joke. Just looked tense. You heard about the hearing? I asked. He nodded. Silence stretched between us. I told them it was me, I said. I know, he replied quickly. Too quickly. Something in his voice fell off. You didn't have to do that, he added, avoiding my eyes. I stared at him. You asked me to. He flinched. I didn't think you actually would. That hit harder than I expected. What does that mean? He rubbed his hands together nervously. It just got out of control. Out of control? My life had fallen apart. And he called it that? Before I could say anything else, he stood up. I have to go, he muttered. And just like that, he walked away, leaving me with a question I couldn't ignore anymore. What was he hiding? The next morning, someone knocked on my door. A courier. No uniform. No explanation. Just a sealed envelope. Inside was a file. Detailed. Precise. And impossible. It contained everything. The accident. The timeline. Witness notes. Even the photo I saw in that room. But there was more. Records of previous incidents. Mistakes. All tied to one person. Kai. My hand started to shake. This wasn't one accident. This was a pattern. A long one. And At the very bottom of the file, a note. Truth matters when it costs something. No signature. But I didn't need one. I knew who it came from. And for the first time, I started to wonder, had I protected the wrong person? I couldn't ignore it anymore. So I went back to the building. This time, the gates opened faster, like they were expecting me. The same man in the suit greeted me. "You came back," he said. "I need answers," I replied. He nodded and led me inside again. The older man was waiting. "You saw the file," he said. I nodded. "Then you understand." "No," I said sharply. "I don't." My voice echoed in the quiet room. "Why show me this now?" He leaned forward slightly. "Because your choice is no longer just yours." That didn't sit right. "What does that mean?" "It means," he said calmly, "your silence is protecting more than one lie." My chest tightened. "More than one? What else is there?" I asked. He didn't answer directly. Instead, he said something that made everything heavier. "The hearing isn't about damage. It's about truth." Before I left, they handed me one more thing. An official document. Stamped. Signed. A summons. I was required to appear at the hearing. Not as the accused, but as a witness. That stopped me cold. A witness. I repeated. The older man nodded. "You have the opportunity to correct the record." Correct the record. Simple words. Heavy meaning. I stared at the paper in my hands. This was it. The moment where everything could change. But it came with a cost. If I spoke the truth, Kai would fall. Everything I tried to protect would collapse. And if I stayed silent, then I would carry this forever. As I stepped outside, the wind felt colder, sharper. Because now, the choice wasn't hidden anymore. It was clear. And it was coming fast. The courtroom felt smaller than I expected, but heavier. Every seat filled. Every whisper sharp. Mr. Halden sat at the front. Kai sat beside his lawyer. He didn't look at me. Not once. I took my seat quietly. The hearing began. Facts were presented. Damage discussed. Responsibility pointed in one direction. Mine. Everything moved quickly. Too quickly. Like the outcome was already decided. Then my name was called. I stood up slowly. Walked forward. Took my place. And for a moment, everything went silent. The judge looked at me. Calm. Direct. "You previously admitted responsibility," he said. "Do you stand by that statement?" My heart pounded. Loud enough, I thought everyone could hear it. I glanced at Kai. Just once. And, this time, he looked back. There was fear in his eyes. But something else too. Expectation. Like he believed I would protect him again. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about loyalty anymore. This was about truth. Real truth. And what it costs. I took a breath. Opened my mouth. And for the first time since that day, I hesitated. I need to correct my statement. My voice sounded stronger than I felt. The room shifted. People leaned forward. The judge nodded. Proceed. I swallowed. Then said it. All of it. The truth. What I saw. What happened. Why I lied. Every word felt like lifting a weight I had carried too long. When I finished, the silence came back. But this time, it felt different. Heavier. Kai didn't look at me anymore. His head was down. And for the first time, I saw what I had been protecting. Not a friend. A lie. The reaction was immediate. Questions fired. Evidence re-examined. The photo presented. The file confirmed. Piece by piece. The truth rebuilt itself. Kai's lawyer tried to push back. But it didn't hold. Not against facts. Not against patterns. Not against reality. Then came the final blow. Records of previous incidents were introduced. Not by me, but by the court. Everything connected. Everything exposed. Kai's face changed. From fear to something else. Resignation. Because deep down, he knew. It was over. Just when it felt like everything had been revealed. The doors opened. And he walked in. The old man. But he didn't look the same. No worn coat. No dust. He walked with quiet authority. The room shifted instantly. Even the judge acknowledged him. That's when I understood. Not just who he was, but how powerful he truly was. He took the stand. And everything changed again. My name is Rowan Vance, he said. The name meant something to everyone in the room. Except me. I built the institution that reviewed this case. Silence fell. Heavy. Absolute. He looked at me. Not as a stranger, but as someone who had already made a decision. I observed Elias over time, he continued. Not for skill, but for character. My chest tightened. This was never just about an accident, he said. It was about integrity under pressure. Then he revealed the final truth. Kai had been given multiple chances, multiple warnings, and failed every one. This was the final test, Rowan said quietly. And he chose deception. Then he turned to me. And you chose sacrifice. The ruling came shortly after. Kai was held responsible, not just for the damage, but for everything he had hidden. He lost his position, his standing, everything. Mr. Halden didn't even look at him. As for me, my name was cleared. But that wasn't the real reward. Rowan approached me outside the courtroom. You lost a lot, he said. I nodded. But you didn't lose yourself, he added. Then he handed me something. An offer. A place. A future I never imagined. Not because I was perfect, but because I chose to be honest. When it finally mattered. And that's the truth I carry now. Kindness is powerful, but truth gives it meaning. If you've ever had to choose between protecting someone and protecting what's right, ask yourself, what are you really saving?